The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
Belonging to the legendary pirate Purplebeard. Purplebeard, 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 Purplebeard. Imagine it, purple. It's purple, Purplebeard, 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 all the way out to purple here. I'm so tired. All right. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and these are just the facts on Power Rangers Dino Fury Episode 19, The Makeover.
Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel.
Yeah, and make sure you got your notifications set up by hitting that little bell icon.
Right, you. What he said was, you can consider checking us out on Patreon or Ko-fi at Orange Ranger Videos.
Dr. Akana does a report for BuzzBlast because, let's face it, everybody needs a side gig these days, about finding a mysterious treasure chest belonging to the legendary pirate Purplebeard. J-Borg then interviews the local museum's curator, Beatrice, about the treasure chest, which may contain some of Purplebeard's mysterious and powerful talismans. Pop is at BuzzBlast for reasons that are never actually made clear, and falls for the curator. Conveniently, he's able to save her from a falling light, and she falls for him as well. She asks him out on a lunch date, and Amelia joyously proclaims that she'll help Pop get ready for that big date. Over with the baddies, Void Knight sees this report and suddenly decides that these mysterious talismans should be able to fill in for the Sporks in powering his machine. He sends a body-swapping beast, Bone Switch, to go get them from the museum. The Rangers find Bone Switch at the museum just as he's broken Purplebeard's chest and found it empty. Bone Switch pulls the switch on Zato and Amelia and Javi and Ollie, switching their bodies around. The swapped Rangers are demorphed because their connections to the morphing grid have been destabilized. Okay, so they head back to the base while Izzy and Ion, who dove out of the way just in time to avoid being switched as well, deal with the bad guys. As the Rangers ponder what to do next, an alarm Amelia set on her phone for Pop's date goes off, which means it's in 30 minutes. She has the idea of having Zato, in her body, give Pop an earpiece that she will speak into. And the fact that Zato's voice is going to be different when he gives Pop the earpiece versus when she's talking through it is not mentioned by anyone. At the date, it's awkward as he's trying to be different, and there's physical comedy. There's some kind of gag that involves a cologne that for whatever reason attracts bees, and...
That's so funny. That's so funny.
Some soup gets on Pop and destroys the earpiece, so Amelia can't help. So Zato, again in Amelia's body, runs over as Pop goes to change and beats him over the head with the episode's moral. Just be yourself, and sends him back in there. He goes back in wearing his work overalls, and she knows about all the grease stains on them because she worked on motorcycles with her dad, and they're actually a perfect match, and yada. So, the swapped Rangers can't morph because their dino energy traveled with their spirits, but is incompatible with their new bodies. So, basically, they have to swap keys with each other to be able to morph. I was really hoping this would mean that we would get a female Red Ranger suit for Amelia and a male Pink Ranger suit for Zato. But they weirdly cheated out of that. It's that Megaforce brand of bizarre laziness where they still did do the work, where it's clear that they used different stunt people, but didn't go as far as swapping the suits.
Disappointed!
Gold isn't in this fight, so Bone Switch swaps Ion with a pigeon. Fight, Bone Switch grows, send in the Zords. The Rangers manage to break Bone Switch's horns using the Megazord, and this swaps everyone back into their original bodies. Which really doesn't change much for the Rangers. They were even already talking out of their own bodies. All it really does is make them change positions in the Megazord and morph again. A seriously, painfully padded Zord fight ends with a really neat finisher, as the Mosa Razor Zord plays Jaws with Bone Switch. Amelia meets Pop Pop at the museum to apologize for the whole date thing. Beatrice picked Pop Pop to restore the pirate treasure chest, but he realized while he was fixing it that the breaks in the wood were too clean to have been caused by being smashed. The pieces of the chest were actually part of a puzzle. Putting the puzzle together reveals a map that shows 2 Dino Fury keys, and X marks the spot at Dinohenge. At Dinohenge, a morphed Zato uses the vision key to look underground and indeed sees a chest with 2 Dino Fury keys inside, a light one and a dark one. Hooray! Let's balance the scales. Episode 19, The Makeover. Pros: Pop Pop is cute with both Amelia and Beatrice, the lip sync was nailed, and finally some serialization. Cons: the 2 plots feel barely connected, they barely did anything with the body swapping, and ongoing confusion about what body swapping means. The human plot was cute. The ranger plot was frustrating. The half a point I promised to deduct is given right back for the plot hook at the end. And we're right back to average. The Makeover gets another 3 scales out of 5. I think Ed Pop Pop Jones, played by Greg Johnson, a veteran Power Rangers voice actor known as General Traith and Mini Zord in Ninja Storm, Ka-Ching in Dino Thunder, and Stench in SPD, is the underrated side actor of the season. He's just so charming in the role, and also plays very well off Hunter Dino's Amelia. But here we get him playing off another side actress, Margaret Mary Hollins' Beatrice, and the 2 of them are also very charming. Having a body swap episode where the voices go with the spirits of the characters into new bodies, first of all, doesn't make any sense because our voices are determined by how air vibrates our vocal folds or cords, but it's also a risky proposition. You're basically dubbing your own actors and you have to nail that lip sync or it's not gonna look good at all. But here, however they managed to pull it off, they did it. It never felt like I was watching a badly dubbed Japanese film. It just looked and sounded like they were talking out of each other's bodies. It took the end of this episode happening for me to actually finally notice this, but Dino Fury has been incredibly filler heavy lately. That sounds weird with the introduction of a new Ranger and a new Zord, but we got 1 episode that introduced that new Ranger, and then we started doing filler stories involving him. Having an episode end with something Ranger plot related that goes into the next episode felt like a breath of fresh air, especially this late in the season. A risk when you do a very tropey, kind of cliched book of stories plot like a body swap episode is that you risk it not giving you a ton to actually work with in terms of your story. So you staple another plot onto it, and now you have 2 half episodes that don't add up to a whole. That feeling comes through most clearly in this episode after Pop Pop's date. Pop Pop has a good resolution to the date, we completely understand what the moral of the story is, and then you can almost hear the clunk as the episode swaps back to the body swap track. What makes that feeling even stronger is that the body swapping plot feels underweight because they didn't do anything with it. It just serves the other side of the plot, which makes it feel like this was actually intended to be a date story episode, and then they just stapled the body swap plot onto it. Javi and Ollie swapped bodies, and we get next to nothing from that, just Javi looking intelligent for a minute. I don't say this lightly, but Super Mega Force did a better body swap episode. And yeah, I was really disappointed with the way they handled the body swapping stuff with the Ranger stuff. When they had to switch keys with each other, I felt like that was what they wanted to do. If Zato is morphing in Amelia's body, why wouldn't the Red Ranger suit get a skirt? Sure, Izzy's suit doesn't get a skirt anymore, but she didn't want one to begin with. Amelia's just fine with her skirt. If you didn't want a spring for the original Ranger suits, then just have the swap back happen before they morph. Ion showed up, we learned a little bit about who this new Gold Ranger was, and then descended straight back into filler. I feel like this might be the point where the filler finally ends, but this is episode 19 out of 22. Where is the long, satisfying plot arc for a wrap-up here? I mean, maybe they're finally writing this as a 44-episode show that airs over 2 years, but if the show's going to go away for even any sort of mid-season break, to coin the term here, I would like a satisfying conclusion. Really, I feel like Ion should have led us into this final arc of the season. If you're going to introduce the 6th Ranger this late in the game, make that mean something. He should change the game. At this point, Ion is only here to fight a villain who's not even here right now, and nothing else significant has changed. Let's see if we're in for anything serious by taking a peek at the 20th episode of Dino Fury, Waking Nightmares. Seeking new Zords, Zato is trapped on a distant planet, and Ion makes a risky trip to save him. Together, they must confront the nightmares of their past before the Zords can be found. That actually sounds promising. So that's going to do it for another Power Rangers Dino Fury episode review. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching. Now that the video's done, you can let me know what you thought of this episode, as well as my review of it, down in the comments below. While you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up button to let me know that you enjoyed this video. And if you're looking for a way to financially support my channel that isn't Patreon or Ko-fi, consider checking out my Teespring and getting some sweet Orange Ranger merch. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to... Whoops. That's why that sounded weird. Pop Pop is a buzz blast for reasons that are never made clear, and falls in love. He sends a bone-switching beast. He sends a body-swapping beast. Bone Switch. They break the horn and plays incredibly well off of Amelia Hunter Dino. In fact, it comes off feeling more like it just serves the other side of the plot. And it still just didn't completely add up, because I don't know what the